right, guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Blueprint. Week 7 of the NFL kicks off. Well, it's actually kicking off right this moment. The Saints are getting absolutely throttled. Sorry, Cole. Um, but let's recap Week 6 real quick because I got to take a victory lap. Um, if you checked out our TikTok page, you saw where I defeated the AI lineups with my lineup. I also defeated Gabe and I also defeated Cole. I was so proud of myself. I bought myself a baby trophy. So week 6, I take the trophy. I'll send it to you guys next week if you win, but I don't think you're going to win after I create this lineup this week. So, but right off the jump, as always, let's do studs and duds. You can also look for that TikTok video coming up later in the week, so you kind of figure out who you want to roll with, Gabe, Cole, or myself, or a combination of the three of us. So, studs and duds. Gabe, let's start with you here. What was your best stud of the week for week 6 of last week?
My biggest stud of the week was Demario Douglas, and I didn't mention
Nice.
him on the YouTube channel because we're still thinking about injuries and things
Yep.
like that. And if you were to check the TikTok channel, you would have seen that he was one of my core four. And me and Britton both had Bijan, who
Yep. Two
outperformed his
tubs.
salary. Yep,
Yep.
that was a good one. Bucky was all right, but I've got to apologize for my fantasy MVP, Josh Jacobs. He continues to underperform, and I'm starting to really get concerned at this point that he's going to be a bust in
I think
fantasy
I
for
think
me.
part of it I think part of it though, Gabe, is when Jordan Love's throwing 4 touchdowns a game. He's
Yeah,
thrown 12 touchdowns, not 4 touchdowns a game, but he's thrown 12 touchdowns in 4 games he's played. And he's
yeah,
taken, I mean, every time they get in the end zone, it's through the air. So
yeah,
it's a tough. It's not that he's playing bad. It's more of the touchdowns are just getting absolutely vultured through the air
yeah.
for
His
him.
last
So
2 weeks, he's had 12, 12, and 16. So, I
yeah,
mean, he's getting like good volume and good work. The touchdown, though, like he's
yeah,
not scoring
it's
any
just not
touchdowns.
there. Not there right
Yeah.
now. I'm kind of with you though, Gabe. I had Bijan as my stud. He was number 7 in PPR fantasy last week. My other stud was Jordan Love, number 6 in fantasy overall last week, which is kind of where I made my bread for last week. And then I had a meh from Zach Ertz at 3,700. He got 10.8, which is fine. And
Yeah,
then
it's right there.
Jalen Tolbert wet the bed just like the rest of the Cowboys. So that was a,
Yeah.
a big massive dud on my part. So whoops. Cole, studs and duds from week 6.
I had a couple studs. Does it have to be from your core four or just people that you picked in general?
No, it can be anybody
You
you
can
picked in
yeah,
general.
Okay.
you can do whatever. I just was
I
going through
had
my
Joe
core
Mixon.
four.
I had Joe Mixon picked
Yeah.
in a lot of lineups. I don't think I listed him as in my core four, but he ended up scoring 30.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's
big deal.
it's going to be pretty consistent output for him. It's going to be up in that 20 to 30 range. He's a clear head. He's a clear head back in a system that is going to catch a lot of passes. So
It's
had
weird,
him.
like, sorry, I mean to cut you off, but like Cam Akers got a lot of work before when Mixon was hurt, but he didn't
Yeah,
do what Mixon does, which is
yeah,
just weird. Like Mixon gets in there and Mixon just ends up killing it. And I'm
changes
like,
it.
how
Yeah,
how come Cam Akers couldn't do that? Doesn't make
changes it.
sense. Yeah.
Changes it for sure. What else you got, Cole?
Man, that's really the only stud I could think of that I really remember picking this week. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I got obliterated, but I just got very
Unlucky.
unfortunate, yeah,
Yeah.
unlucky.
Yeah,
Uh,
Olave
my
going out
biggest
with a
stud,
concussion.
yeah, Olave, the biggest stud of the week for
That
me.
doesn't count. Doesn't
Yeah,
count
that's an
though. It
injury.
is. Yeah, doesn't count.
I'll give you a pass this week.
Yeah.
Well, well, I mean, I didn't really have that many duds then. For the most part, I mean, I had a lot of players that did their normal contributions, around 14 to 15 points, and then Olave put me down, and that
Yeah,
was,
Yeah,
I
that'll
mean,
be a
yeah,
no grade on the TikTok channel. It'll be
okay,
an NA. It won't be a
yeah.
F. It'll be like it's just like you can't lose your starting spot to injury. You also can't get an F grade due to injury.
yeah,
And
I
also,
mean,
the Broncos just scored a defensive touchdown, written fumble recovery for a touchdown.
and that's why you turn the game off before you watch it.
Go Broncos D!
Yeah, it's
Love
gotten
that D
so
right there.
bad for poor Cole. He turned his TV off in the background. Usually he's got the Thursday night game going, but it's brutal. So he had to turn
Well,
it off.
Yeah,
Love the Press.
I can't watch it. It's gotten rough. It's gotten extremely tough being a New Orleans Saints guy your whole
Yeah.
life. Some people move and change fan bases and are disloyal to the team they watched growing up, and some people
Cole,
just
Me.
love the pain. Some people just love
Me.
the pain, man. Bring the pain.
bring the pain,
How
baby.
about the Broncos guy returning that for a touchdown up 26-3, huh? With 5 minutes left. That's what
Sean
I'm
I
talking
Payton.
love it.
That's
about.
100% Sean Payton's call.
Oh
He
yeah.
told him,
He
yeah,
said take it back.
yeah.
I love
All
it.
right, well, one more. I have to apologize to anybody who started Ian Thomas for the Panthers. I'll
Yeah.
say this. I'll say this. He got some work. They tried to target him exclusively in some passes. Like they really tried to get him the ball, like screens and up the seam things, just trying to get him the ball. He dropped two, and one of them was an interception. So
Yeah.
it didn't work out, but
Maybe this
he
week.
would have had some production. Yeah, maybe this week. Maybe I doubt it. He's questionable with a new injury this week, so I don't like him
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, let's move into this week. Values for week 7. It's a weird, it feels like a weird slate of games, but let's just dive into it. Cole, we'll start with you if you don't mind. Give us a couple of your values for week 7.
You know, somebody that hasn't really been terrible that I was expecting to be a little worse is Andy Dalton. I think Andy
Yeah.
Dalton, he's consistently putting up about 15, 16, 17 points a week. And that's one of the guys I've got picked for value. And then I've got Geno Smith as well, because he's also been consistent. And he's got people to throw to. So I've got those two guys listed as value QBs in my
Okay.
selection.
Yeah, let's stay in that lane. QBs for the moment. Gabe, do you see QB value out there for week 7?
Yeah. So on the upper end, I think he's either the highest or second highest price quarterback is Jaden Daniels, 7,600. Like you can still find some value with higher price quarterbacks as long as their matchup is favorable. And he has the potential with his ceiling to score like 40 points, either two rushing touchdowns, two passing, 100 yards on the ground, 300 in the air, like that type of potential. He's one of the only quarterbacks besides Jalen Hurts that has that potential. So like I like Jalen Hurts a little bit too in that matchup, but I'm a little turned off by him because of Saquon.
Yeah.
And it being a revenge game for Saquon in New York this weekend, I could see them really trying to get him in the end zone. Besides that, Matthew Stafford 5,600 against Vegas, really good. I think Cooper Cup's going to be back this week.
Yep.
I had Andy Dalton. Cole mentioned him, and Geno Smith 5,800 against Atlanta. Geno is a top 10 fantasy quarterback right now if you look at his outputs and season long, and he's still priced at like in the bottom 20 of
Yeah.
quarterbacks in fantasy on DraftKings. But if you're feeling really, really dangerous, I got two plays for you.
All right.
Aiden
What you got?
Aiden O'Connell,
Yeah.
4,800, Vegas versus Vegas versus Rams. He had 40 pass attempts last week. 40.
How many
They don't
points
really
did he
have a
have?
run game there, and they play the Rams. I want to say it was like 11, maybe. I'll have to look
Yeah,
and see. But
no touchy.
uh,
I'll tell you what, speaking of dangerous real quick, if you want to do something dangerous, dangerous. Pittsburgh.
dangerous.
Pittsburgh
Yeah.
Steelers. And
The
whoa,
first team reps all week, so
that's dangerous.
And I
it is
gave y'all crap.
dangerous.
I gave y'all crap last week for starting Deshaun, but his price keeps just like
Yeah, it's plummeting. It's
down and
4,000,
down. He's at 4,900,
900.
below
Yeah.
5,000. And I'm like, for a starting quarterback, 4,900 with his. It's just like, how can Deshaun Watson have fell so far so fast? But I'm not gonna touch it. But golly, this if he's not gonna have 1 week where he freaking blows the slate up with 30 points, like just catches
I
lightning.
mean, I think it's gonna be tough too losing Cooper. Like
Yeah.
it's just thin. I don't know if I can. I'm not willing to
Dude, maybe
to
it
go
frees
there.
him up. Like maybe it frees him up to throw to like to just random people, and he doesn't have to like. I feel like sometimes when there's a big receiver there, like Dak with CD Lamb right now, like I feel like Dak is trying to force the ball to CD so that CD doesn't get pissed, and then it messes their whole offense up because he feels
Yeah.
like he has to get the ball to CD or it's gonna get him in hot water with the coaches or whoever. So like maybe
Yeah.
now that Cooper's gone, Deshaun just starts throwing it around to Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore, the backups there, and they're getting work, and it's not a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of I get it. my quarterbacks, though, I'm kind of with you, Gabe. I like the Matthew Stafford at 5,600 with Cooper Cup coming back. They've got a really good connection, so if he is truly healthy and can play,
Hmm.
I do like that. Like especially against the Vegas Raiders. So I like that. Sorry, I just got a text from my wife that said my son threw up in his crib. So good times. Um,
Oh,
uh, so
feel
maybe I
partially
am sick.
responsible.
Maybe I am sick.
Partially responsible.
Um, I think Jordan Love at 6,900. I mean, if they continue to throw it like they're throwing it, 12 touchdowns in 4 games, it's hard to shy away from a 6,900 with a fantasy output that he's had the last couple weeks playing healthy. And then this is kind of my dangerous value. I like Tyler Huntley coming off a bye against the Colts.
Oh
There's
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
a lot of weapons, and I I would imagine Mike McDaniels is trying to get him more comfortable, and there's just too many weapons there for him not to maybe have one good game.
Hmm.
So I like him coming off a bye at 5,100 against the Colts defense. So
Cole likes that one.
he's yeah, he's the dangerous play
I
for
mean,
me because
any
he
team
could
with
get you
Tyreek Hill,
zero.
any team with
Yeah,
Tyreek Hill has a chance of just going crazy.
No, you texted me last week and you said I'm about to start going at the Colts defense like a freshman corner.
yeah, you got to.
Anytime somebody's playing the Colts.
You
No,
got to.
I think it's
I've been riding
not the
that.
Colts. I think it was Jacksonville. It was Jacksonville's defense.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
Jacksonville's
remember.
defense is
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah. So
Well,
anybody
Colts
playing
and Jacksonville
Jacksonville,
both. Yeah.
yeah. So that's my dangerous because Tyler Huntley, who knows what you can get, but he does that. I mean, he runs the ball a little bit, and he's got so many weapons coming off a bye. I could see that going really well
Hmm.
for him. If you're trying to save value at quarterback, that might be a play. Running back wise, what do you guys? Let's start with Cole here. Running back value for week 7. You got anything for us?
Man, it's killing me picking a running back right now. That's hard to choose. I chose Chuba Hubbard and Tony Pollard this week as my two guys as kind of like a replay for week 6. Those two guys aren't expecting just continuous output. So those two guys are my two picks for running back this week.
No Spears for the Titans with a hamstring injury, so Pollard will be getting every single carry, every single catch pretty much in that
Yeah.
game, besides their backup Julius Chestnut, who I have zero fear that he will take any reps away from Tony Pollard at the goal line at all.
Yeah.
Like, no
Well,
fear.
let's pause for a second there because who you want to know who the number 2 fantasy PPR uh, point total was for week 6?
Yeah, I know who it
Anybody want
was.
to take a guess?
Well, actually, is it a running back you're saying?
Yeah, it's a running back.
Yeah, it was Sean Tucker.
Yeah, you
Was
want
it
to
not
talk
Sean
about a
Tucker?
third stringer taking reps. Anything
Yeah.
goes. You're talking about this guy for the Titans. Who knows? He may go and get 30 points in a game. Who the crap
Sean
knows, man?
Tucker, I think Sean Tucker was there a year ago and 2 years ago, so he's been there for a while. And I
Yeah,
remember he was was backing up Rashad White before Bucky got there, and then Bucky's a rookie,
yeah,
so he kind of took something. So like I think it's a little different. Sean Tucker, they had some potential.
yeah,
Julius Chestnut has zero potential. He is
yeah.
not. Yeah, I don't think he's. But
Ain't
hey, you're
worried
right.
about it.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? All right, Gabe, what you got running back value? And Cole, just to clarify, you had Chuba Hubbard and Tony Pollard. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Gabe, what you got?
Um. So a lot of injuries to monitor heading into the week, and I feel like it's every week is like that's how you find value is when you look at like injuries. And Brian Robinson, I think, will be back this week. He's been limited, but I think he'll play. If he doesn't, though, Austin Eckler 5,900 against the Carolina defense, really good play. Aaron Jones was back to limited practice. He probably will play. If he doesn't play, though, we saw what Ty Chandler did last year. He's at 5,600. So a lot of good running backs in that price range. But this is the one that I've zeroed in on the most because both running backs for the Raiders are below 5,500. Zamir White, who was leading that backfield, is 4,900, and he's missed the last 2 weeks. I don't know how that running back room is going to shake out. It's been kind of a run back by committee, but I want to say that Madison has been really good, and his last 2 weeks with Zamir out, I just don't know how they don't keep giving Madison more looks with White coming off an injury, at least for this week, since he's not a full participant yet. So that could change though if he's a full participant in practice, maybe at the end of the week. So that's what I've kind of got right now. Not a ton of value in the besides those injury ones. Like if those guys are injured play, there's not really much like must start stud running backs. But like Tony Pollard, like Cole said, he's really the guy I'm leaning on heavy just because of the volume at 6,300. That's irreplaceable.
Yeah. My running back, I'm actually going, and this is kind of a risk just because of how good the quarterback is and injury. I got Brian Robinson at 6,400 against an absolutely trash rushing defense against Carolina. Listen to this stat. The Carolina defense allows on average 133 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns a game. So Brian Robinson at 6,400, if he plays and is healthy, I think you have to lean on him a little bit here. And if not him, and he's out, Austin Eckler at 5,900. I against that defense, somebody's going to get in the end zone, and there's going to be yards to be had. So I like Brian Robinson as my running back value for week 7 here. Receivers though, I'll start us off a little bit on receivers. Um, my first at $4,000 is Juju Smith-Schuster. He's dealing with a little bit of a
Okay.
hamstring injury.
Yeah.
So I don't love that. Anytime you get a hamstring, it's always a chance that flares back up. But at 4,000 and the week they had with him without Rashee Rice, he had 8 targets, 7 receptions, 130 yards, and the one ball he didn't catch was he got hit at the goal line. It would have been a touchdown. And then, like I said, the NFL is rigged. Big Baby picked it off for the Saints and
Big
ran it back for
baby.
50 yards. But I think at 4,000, if he plays, targets are going to be had. And I mean, that's just, you're basically walking into a receiver two at $4,000 because Travis Kelce will probably be receiver one, even though he's a tight end. So Juju Smith Schuster at 4,000. And this one's going to be a little bit weird, but I'm always a big proponent of when a receiver whines and complains and cries, look for him to get targeted heavy early. Calvin Ridley at 5,500.
Oh
The
yeah.
quarterback
Yeah.
situation is bad, but
Hmm.
he after the game press conference was obviously very upset with zero receptions in that game. So or maybe one. It wasn't much.
Yeah.
So I expect them to try to force feed him early. So 5,500. Quarterback situation is terrible, but it might be something you can roll the dice on there. What about you guys? What do you have? We'll start with Gabe. What do you got value wise for receivers week 7?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna snipe me on that 4,000 salary player, but you didn't. I'm looking more at Noah Brown for the
Mm,
Commanders. He
yep.
got 8 targets last week with Jaden Daniels, and also they said he's been the most heavily involved receiver there,
Mm,
even on the field with Terry McLaurin in terms of like usage and targets and stuff. So I like Noah Brown. Also touchdown Cedric Wilson for the Saints. That's the most irrelevant touchdown in the history. Jake Hayner to Cedric Wilson, a touchdown. Like you got to be kidding me. Like where are we at,
Now we're gonna
Saints?
have a QB controversy in New Orleans.
Yeah. Uh,
yeah. Good luck.
uh, so anyway, Noah Brown, and then also like you said about the Miami and the Colts, Tyreek Hill at 7,300.
It's 300.
That is just crazy. Just like Deshaun, his salary just keeps going down and down. He was at 8,800 to start the season. Now
Yeah.
he's down at 7,300, and it just feels like with his ability, he's gonna have to get loose for a long
Yeah.
touchdown at some point. Especially against
Yeah.
the Colts being as bad as they are. And then you have Jalen Waddle at 5,300, whichever one of those guys you like the most. They're both
Yeah.
pretty affordable.
Yeah. I
I
like
think
that for sure.
my favorite pick in terms of value because of the game that I feel like it's gonna be a really high scoring game, very competitive. Is Jordan Addison,
Mm,
5,600, Minnesota.
yeah, I saw that.
Detroit's corners are pretty garb, so I feel like he's a
Yeah.
good play too.
I like it.
That's pretty
Cole, what
much
you
it
got?
for me.
So my value play for receiver, and you said you like wide receiver twos at 4,900, under $5,000. I'm going with Jerry Judy at 4,800.
Mm.
I'm expecting an increase in targets
Yeah.
with Amari Cooper gone, and he's going to be wide receiver one. And maybe, just maybe, with your fingers crossed, Deshaun Watson can get the ball out and make some plays. But
Yeah.
that's the only
It's a big
guy I've really got
maybe.
circled for value. It's a
It's
big
a
maybe.
big
It's a big maybe. But he's a guy I have in a few starting lineups. He's definitely not a core four guy.
Yeah. I like it.
I
Is
had
that the
one
only receiver
more.
you have right there? Or go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's the only one I've got that's actually worth mentioning. I've got
Yeah.
Okay.
Terry McLaurin in a lot of lineups too, but that's not. I mean, I'm not really looking at value. That's not really
Okay.
a value play.
So Deontay Johnson's questionable with an ankle injury. He
Yeah.
didn't practice this whole week. So in that room, you have Xavier Legette, 5,100, and then you also have Jalen Coker at the minimum salary of 3,000. So as the season's gone on, originally it was Jonathan Mingo. They gave him a chance. He didn't
Yeah.
really take a hold of it. David Moore, who when he caught a pass and it popped up D Moore on my screen, they were playing the Bears, and I was like, I mean, they went straight to DJ Moore, and it's like DJ Moore. Well, that had to be a typo. I mean, I looked at it and I was like, oh no, they have a guy named David Moore there, and I was like, wow, that's irrelevant. And then this guy out of nowhere, Jay Coker, pops up, and the first thing I think of is Jacob Coker, and I'm
Yeah.
like, is Jacob Coker playing receiver for the Panthers? It would not surprise me how bad they are. I was like, maybe he is. He's not. So Jalen Coker is apparently taking over the number 3 receiver role at the Panthers, which if Johnson doesn't play, then Coker will be number 2 there. And like you said, Cole, with Andy Dalton, if you're looking for a good stack with Andy Dalton, you have Leggett at 5,100 and then or Coker at 3,000. A tight end room there is a disaster. Stay away from the tight ends, but that's a couple other ones that I was looking at today.
Speaking of tight ends, immunity, pause. Uh, I I think value wise, it's really you're just kind of looking at volume at this point. Tight ends has kind of been across just wild across the board this year. It's been hard to predict. Um, I've kind of circled on two, and Gabe, you and I have talked about one of them earlier in the week. Calcaterra for the Eagles if Goddard is out. He had last week, he had 4 targets for 67 yards. He made the most of his targets. He got 4 targets, 4 catches, 67 yards. So he's sitting at 3,200. That's a very cheap tight end that you can maybe uh, find a touchdown somewhere in there or just a couple good opportunities that could arise for him because Jalen Hurts does seem to utilize the tight ends a decent amount. And then the other value I saw is with Cooper being gone, David Njoku, he led the team in targets last week with Cooper there. He had 7 targets, 5 catches for 31 yards. Not a lot of yardage, but 5 catches in PPR. Not bad. And his price right now, I think, is at 4,100, 4,200. I got to double check. 4,100 is what it is. So I like that. I think that his targets will increase with Cooper departing. So I like the value there potentially. For you guys, is there a tight end that you see out there that maybe you can throw a dart at and find some value for this week?
Cole,
Yeah,
I'll let you
yeah,
start.
All right, I picked. Yeah, as Gabe was talking about throughout the week, I picked Calcaterra. Jalen Hurts finds his tight ends. He's found Goddard all season long. You'll have to watch, make sure Goddard doesn't play. He was out today, didn't practice.
yeah.
That's a guy I've got picked. This guy I got circled as a tight end. He's going to be a must start for me. He's in all my lineups right now. So
I love it. Gabe, what you got?
I had Njoku, like you said. Deshaun's always loved throwing to him, even when Cooper was there. So I like that. Brock Bowers, 5,800 in a good matchup. Uh, like that one. Myers hadn't practiced there as a receiver. The tight ends like this week. I was looking at them. There's a lot of good matchup and value tight ends like Zach Ertz against Carolina, 3,900. If you want to stack him
Yep.
with Jaden Daniels, and then also Dalton Schultz, Houston at 4,200. Then they're playing Green Bay. Green Bay's defense is kind of sneaky good. They have really good corners and Jair Alexander and some other guys. But if Stroud trying to get the ball out quick. I could see them hitting Schultz a lot. He typically has a game every now and then where he gets 10 catches. I don't know when it'll come, but with Nico Collins out, I guess his days are kind of limited to be the number 3 weapon there in the
Yeah.
receiving core. But if it's a real competitive game, I feel like they could. Green Bay is like they're going to put up points most likely, so they're going to have to sling it around. So Schultz there at 4,200 seems like a good play to me. That's the end of my, I guess, tight end value. Kelsey's back to being the highest priced
Yeah.
tight end again now that he's starting to get some work. It's oh
It
man,
changed quickly for him. He's
yeah.
now, like
Hey,
you said, the most expensive tight end.
he still hasn't eclipsed 100 yards in a game yet. So
Yeah.
I'm not ready to take him off the no touchy list. So
Yeah. Lots of
still on it.
lots of targets with Rice going
Yeah.
out, but still hadn't eclipsed the 100-yard mark this season. So we talked a little bit about value, right? So now as we're kind of working through our lineups for week 7, let's talk a little bit about our core 4 that we're building around for this week. Cole, we'll start with you. Kind of give me your core 4 moving forward.
All right, so I've got Jaden Daniels as my quarterback this week. I'm gonna put him in my core 4. This probably won't grade out very well. I know you got to have an incredible amount of points for somebody so high to get a good grade, but Chuba Hubbard, Tony Pollard, and Tank Dell are going to be my core 4 guys this week. I think Tank Dell's going to continue to get a lot of work as long as he's a wide receiver number 2. He'll keep getting looks. So those are my core 4 guys, and I'll swing it over to you guys.
Hold on, Gabe, before you roll. I feel like I need to encourage Cole for a second. I can tell he's depressed. Cole, the Saints, they'll be back one day. At some point, they'll be back. You just got to
Oh
weather
no,
the
I'm not.
storm.
Oh, I'm not depressed. No, the Saints. The Saints are. I don't know. I don't even know the right way to describe them. Honestly.
Bad.
Yeah, I mean, they're like a
They're
hot air
not-
balloon. They're like a hot air balloon. Eventually, they're gonna come down.
Yes. Yes. Well, I wanted to pause. You seem sad tonight, so just wanted to make sure you're all right. Checking in.
No, I'm good,
Checking in on my
man.
boy.
I'm good.
Um,
No, I'm fine. I'm just trying to make sure my mic's everything's working good.
oh yeah,
It's
you're
bothered.
good.
It's been bothering me.
That's one of the quickest descents from like a competitive team.
Yeah,
Olave, Shaheed, and Derek Carr in
gone.
1 week. Gone.
Well, it's so New Orleans Saints to go from the first 2 weeks of the season to we're back, we're competing, we scored 40 points in 2 weeks, to now you're getting outscored like I can't even remember what they said. I think it was like 50-3 or something like that. It was some
Mm.
absurd number. It
Yeah.
was something crazy.
Injuries, man. Just
Yeah.
injuries. It happens.
All right, Gabe, we'll move to you,
Uh,
core 4. I just wanted to get a
all
temperature
right.
check on my boy.
Yeah. So I kind of want to be different than Cole and not pick Jaden Daniels in my core 4, but I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep him in there, 7,600. Maybe it'll change if there's some injury updates to Carolina. Maybe I'll go Andy Dalton. See what happens on the TikTok channel when I post it. But Jaden Daniels, David Njoku, 4,100, Tony Pollard, and Jordan Addison. Those are going to be my core 4 that I build around. I don't have anybody below 4,000. I try to get one person below 4,000
Yeah.
in my core 4 because that gives you the salary flexibility, and then also if they outscore the projection, it kind of separates you. But I don't have anybody this week there at below 4,000.
Surprised me. I thought you would go with Calcaterra, to be honest with you. You kind of hyped
I
him up
thought
at the
about
beginning of
it,
the
but
week.
yeah, well, so the reason I didn't was because I looked at Goddard's news earlier, and Sirianni's still not ready to rule him out from playing this week. So I kind of was picking people that I know are going to play this week that I kind of liked. And if, like I said, it'll change depending on who gets ruled out either Friday or Saturday before we post our core 4 TikTok. I'm sure we'll come together again, and I'll ask you guys if we want to make any adjustments. But for right now, that's my core 4. Jaden Daniels, David Njoku, Tony Pollard, Jordan Addison.
Good. My core 4 for this week, injury dependent, obviously, but I've got Juju Smith-Schuster at 4,000. I've got Tony Pollard at 6,300. I've got Brian Robinson at 6,400, and I've got David Njoku at 4,100. Obviously, I've got 2 guys on that list as questionable. So we'll see how the week plays out. But right now, I'm going Juju Smith-Schuster, Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson, David Njoku. Um, we're kind of jump into our AI predictions, AI optimal lineups for this week, and that'll also be on our TikTok channel. But Gabe, again, if you're joining us for the first time, we have a spreadsheet that's created that gives us a 3 running back lineup, a 4 wide receiver lineup, and a 2 tight end lineup. Gabe, can you kind of give us a quick rundown on the optimal AI lineups for week 7?
Yeah, Cole, give us your core four one more time so I can chop it up and put it on the TikTok channel. Give a quick recap.
All right, my core 4 is Jaden Daniels, Chuba Hubbard, Tony Pollard, and Tank Dell.
Emphatic pause. I love it. Emphatic pause. Emphatic pause between.
Had to pull it up and make sure I got it all right before I said a name. Before I said a name that was not on my core 4 originally that I said in the video.
Big dramatic effect, baby.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So for the AI lineups, and this is the thing about the AI lineups, they haven't been doing terrible. They've actually been meeting their scores. We've had some outperform them, but the AI has no emotion. The AI is going to pick players based on what they think is the best output based on their salary. Whereas when I see somebody that the AI picks, I go, I'm absolutely not starting that person in a million years.
Yeah, like
ever.
little Jordan Humphrey last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, just this will probably change before the weekend's over when we post it to TikTok. But for now, you got Geno Smith at quarterback, Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Jacoby Myers, Elijah Moore, Brock Bowers, Aaron Jones, Ram defense, and Elijah Moore. Not a bad play now that I think about it. AI may be onto something there as the number 2 receiver with Cooper gone. I don't necessarily hate that one. I could see that being a good play. And then for your 4 wide receivers, Geno Smith, Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, David Njoku, Deontay Johnson, and Rams. So 2 Cleveland Browns players there. If it was me, if I'm going to start Jerry Jeudy and Njoku, I'm putting Deshaun in there at 4,900. I know he's been terrible, but if I'm going to start both those guys, you almost have to start stack it. And then for your 2 tight end lineups, they got the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Jacoby Myers, Juju Smith-Schuster. The AI is pulling him out for Britain.
Sure.
Brock Bowers, and then Travis Kelce with Rams defense. And the optimal lineups projections are all below 130 this week, which is kind of strange because typically they're usually about the 135, 140 range. I think that has something to do with the salaries of the players becoming more comparable to their projections. So starting to kind of, there's not really values at the beginning of the week that the AI can identify this early. The scores will probably go up once the injuries and stuff get a little bit clearer at the end of the week. Yeah.
Yeah, once they get flushed out for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
we'll give a recap of that on the TikTok channel as well. But now we kind of go into, kind of what we see. What do we, we do have emotions. We pick based on what we see sometimes, right? And we're going to give our optimal lineups. And just as a quick reminder, week 6. So just think about that for a second.
I was robbed.
I'll start us off if y'all don't mind. Optimal
Oh, no,
lineup.
buddy. Go ahead, buddy. You're the champ. Start us off.
Yeah,
Pretty
Well, you know,
easy.
yeah. You're the
It
guy.
rarely happens. So when it happens, you got to take a victory lap, baby. I'm
You
taking
have to
it.
show it off,
Man.
man.
Taking
But
it,
believe me,
baby.
when I finally get one right, when I come around, we're gonna have to have a little party.
Silence in the peanut gallery, please. Let this guy, let the
Hey.
man speak.
Hey, I got a pack of 6 for $1 at Walmart. So if you ever want to hold something up, go to Walmart.
Mail
and
me
get you some.
one. Mail me
I'll
one.
mail, I'll mail you a
Mail
couple.
one.
Cole, I'll give you some later in the week.
I was gonna say,
My lineup for this week, I got a lot of the AI, and really I didn't even look at this until you sent it over this afternoon, Gabe, but I've got a lot of the AI picks in my lineup. I've got Geno Smith starting at quarterback. I've got Tony Pollard against the Bills defense. I've got Brian Robinson. Obviously, again, he's a big question mark right at the moment. So my optimal could change, but I've got Brian Robinson. I've got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's also questionable. I've got Malik Neighbors, who cleared concussion protocol at 7,500 this week. I've got Deontay Johnson at 6,600 again. He's a question mark. So I've already named three Qs so far in my starting lineup, and I've named six players. So again, mine could change in a heartbeat. I've got Calcaterra right now as my tight end. I'm gonna have to change it because Njoku's in my core four, so I may have to mix it up a little bit. But I've got
Oh
Calcaterra
man,
until the
yeah,
injuries play out.
don't
Uh,
worry.
and then I got Bijan Robinson, and then the Rams defense as my starting optimal lineup for this week in week 7. Gabe, what do you have?
So for my starting lineup, I'm starting Jaden Daniels. I'm getting Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Jordan Addison, Noah Brown, T. Higgins, David Njoku, and Alexander Madison in my flex. And then I'm going the minimum defense on the slate with the Tennessee Titans at 2,300 against Buffalo. Buffalo, really good offense, but their receiving core is kind of mid. But now they added Cooper, so it kind of go up a little bit. I don't know how much he's going to play. But the Titans have been really good against receivers this year. L'Jarius Sneed, Quandre Diggs, and then Jarvis Brownlee. He was their 7th round pick last year, who I liked out of Louisville. And I got to take a lap on this one, man. I said he was going to be the best pick the Titans had, and they make him the 7th round in terms of like value where they picked him versus output in the season. And he's already starting for the Titans. Like he's already like as a 7th round pick. Like he's playing really well. So yeah, I'm taking the Titans defense in that spot. But like you said, Britton, once we post these to the TikTok, we can make changes to it based on who's out and who's not. So don't feel bad for putting Calcaterra in there because he'll probably end up being in my final lineup if Goddard is out.
Cole, what you got?
All right, so I'm going Geno Smith Q, Joe Mixon at running back, Tony Pollard at RB2, Jordan Addison wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, Devontae Smith against New York, who's had 4 touchdowns in the last 5 matchups that he's played in against these guys.
Pause right there for a
Calcaterra.
second. Pause right there. That was a heck of a pull. Heck of
Yeah,
a pull. What a
there you
stat. I
go.
love it. All right, keep going.
Those stats, I don't believe in them, honestly. I really don't. I think only thing I really believe in with players is just they perform good on their birthdays or if they have a child. They instantly become must starts. Yeah, Grant Calcaterra at tight end at 3,200, and then Xavier Legette at the flex with the Titans defense.
And that could be a great play if Jonathan's out. So I like it. All right, let's
Tighten
jump
up.
to, yeah, tighten up. Let's jump to games that we like for the weekend. Um, it's a weird slate of games. I think there's a lot of good games out there. Gabe, did you have any circled for week 7?
Yep, I do. So, like I said, mentioned earlier, Detroit Lions versus the Minnesota Vikings. Feel like that game's gonna be real competitive. The Vikings surprised a lot of people, and Detroit looks like a real Super Bowl contender, which is really
Yep.
weird to say, but they absolutely obliterated the Cowboys. And then you have Carolina and Washington. Andy Dalton's kind of revived that offense, and they're kind of putting up some points. So, think that could be a high scoring game as well with two bad defenses. And then my last one is Vegas and Rams because a lot of value there. Once again, bad defenses. Find a guy there that you like. Kyron Williams is a guy we didn't talk about as one of our value plays, but he has been outstanding this year in fantasy. But he is one of the
Yeah.
higher priced options.
Yeah, he
So if you
was
can put
over
some of those
8,000.
yeah, if you put some of those lower salary value guys in, it frees up your salary. That's why I ended up putting Saquon in my lineup because I had freed up that salary to put those other guys in there. But with Nick Sirianni being the coach at the Eagles, I feel like he's just the pettiest guy in the world. And I could definitely see them getting to the 1 yard line and handing it to Saquon like 3 times instead of sneaking it, just so Saquon can do like a dance. And it's in New York, so I mean, Saquon is definitely going to play the villain there for them picking Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. One of the worst decisions I think in the history of sports, besides the Titans trading AJ Brown. That's the worst decision in the history of sports.
That's a really good. I really like I might have to put Saquon in my lineup. Thinking about that, he might go for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's why I
I
got
really
him.
like that a lot, actually. Games I like this week, Gabe. I'm with you. Lions Vikings. Feel like that's a competitive matchup. Don't know how it'll play out fantasy wise, but I do love the game itself. Fantasy wise, Texans and Packers. I feel like that's the points are going to be through the
Hmm.
roof in that game, which, to be honest with you, means probably be 14-10 or something like stupid like that. But really like that one a lot. And then I also like the Seahawks at Falcons. I feel like Falcons
Yeah.
offense is really clicking right now. But I do think that the Seahawks have a lot of talent, a lot of good receivers, a lot of good running backs. I feel like Geno Smith's got an opportunity here to maybe light them up a little bit. So I like the Seahawks and the Falcons as a sneaky good game and can produce a lot of value fantasy wise for us this coming week. So that's kind of the games I like uh, as we roll into week 7. But our favorite segment of the night, the no touchy segment. I actually didn't just generalize a team this week. I actually did hone in on one player, which this is a tough one for me because he's in my fantasy league for the season. But I've got Devon Achan coming back from the concussion
Mm.
injury. It looks like he will play. I think the issue for me is Jalen Wright is playing well. He had 13 carries last time they played for 86 yards. And Raheem Mostert's also healthy. He had 19 carries for 80 yards. I think Achan has the big play effect. He can go catch one and get 70 yards and a touchdown, but he's really not rushing at a good average per carry. And with these other guys doing well without him, I'm a little bit concerned about his value moving into week 7 with a crowded backfield. Again, Achan is the big play guy, but I am concerned with his ability to put points on the field with these other guys in the lineup. And then my other no touchy this week is it looks like Richardson is going to get the start. If he gets the start, I'm out on Colts receivers. It's just too hard to kind of pick one because it's just so up and down with Richardson at quarterback. So I'm out on Colts receivers this week if Richardson is truly going to be the starter.
Yep.
Gabe, what do you have? No touchy.
Well, this week against Buffalo, I'm out on all Titans wide receivers. I don't like Will Levis. I think I'm out on Will Levis, giving him as much leeway as I can this year. It's already 7 games in. I've
Hey, you're 10
tried,
now.
man. I just have a hard time trusting him at this point. They beat the Dolphins, which is no freaking. I think it's like the first. Was it the first win of the season? Like that isn't. And they were terrible in that game, and they had to basically just control the ball. And then that Colts loss last week with Joe Flacco in there, and it just I don't know. I'm out on Will Levis.
I don't even think Levis threw for a buck. I really can't remember. Let me pull his stats real quick. I
That Colts
don't think.
defense is so bad, and I'm like, if you can't play
Yeah.
against the Colts, man, like it's that. That's it for me.
Yeah.
You can try and win me back, but for now, I'm out right now.
Will
And you can have
Levis.
one good game this week. I'm out. No matter.
Yeah. Will Levis stat line against the vaunted Colts defense.
Yeah.
95 yards passing, uh, one
Uh,
touchdown, one interception. QBR right around where Deshaun Watson is at a
yeah.
29.2. I'm out.
Yeah. Give me less of Will Levis.
Yes.
Will Less is what I'm gonna call him because I
Will
want
less.
less of him. Uh,
Yeah.
the Kansas City San Francisco game. I don't know why I don't like that game at all. I just scares me. I guess because their defenses. But um, no, my last no touchy is gonna be the Buffalo receivers with such a wild rotation until Cooper gets settled in there. It's kind of nobody you can really trust. You got to throw a dart out of like 6 people and hope to hit it. I don't like that. There's a lot better options if you're gonna throw a dart somewhere. Don't give yourself 6 options if you're gonna throw a dart. I mean, that just seems obvious. If you're gonna pick somewhere to throw a dart, pick somewhere where you have less options and
Yes.
better things to hit. Uh,
100%.
yeah, that's my no
Cole, what
touchies.
you got? No touchy.
You know, I'm going with somebody that's usually not mentioned for me because of his volume. I'm going Cooper Cup. I think coming
Hmm.
off that injury, I think he's going to be a little rusty, a little slow. And if you remember in the beginning of the year, he didn't have a great start. I know. Let me look up his stats real quick. But I think his first 2 weeks he kind of struggled. But I take that back. In 35, he had week one. And week one he had 35. Week two he had 7. So I mean he's a volatile pick, volatile uh, you know option. But I just don't see a 35-point output coming for him off an injury. So that's my guy that I'm going with.
Oh no, man. I like Cooper Cup. And you say he's volatile. Hell no. For me, I feel like he's one of the more consistent. He was volatile last year, I'll give you that, when Puka was there. But Puka's on the IR. No Puka. Give me as much Cooper Cup. Give me more Cup. Less Levis, more Cup. More Cup.
Work out.
It's
I
just
love it.
it's just he's the only guy that's going to be out there for them, and you can say that's going to increase the targets, but it's going to increase attention too on defense.
It don't matter if they ain't playing nobody good. Playing Vegas.
Ah,
They,
man,
they dookie.
Baby.
Yeah. But
The
hey,
Raiders.
that's just somebody I just don't want to pick. That's just somebody I'm just not going to touch.
he's expensive though. You're right. He's expensive coming off injury at 7,900. That's a lot of points for coming off an injury, especially an ankle injury. Re-aggravated or something, or they mix him in and try to get him,
Yeah, I definitely don't touch
back
knee
to
injuries.
condition.
No knee
Yeah.
injuries.
No, it's ankle. It's ankle injury.
Okay, I thought you said
It's ankle, yeah. No, sorry, ankle injury. But yeah, like I coming off an injury like that can get re-aggravated. So yeah, I agree. I see what you're saying.
Well, boys, that's just the end of the segment here. Uh, hopefully everybody has success at week 7. Hopefully we're killing it. Hopefully people are finding value in what we had to say, but we'll see how it plays out.
Like,
Um,
Flo, one more person I would consider a no touchy that I would think is Kareem Hunt. Edwards-Helaire's coming back.
I did
That's
see
kind of
that.
under
Yeah,
the radar, so watch out for that.
I did see that. Yeah, that's not a bad pull there at all.
Not a bad no
Um,
touchy.
yeah, yeah. So
Not
we'll
bad.
see what happens in this week, but hopefully you guys stay tuned to the TikTok channel. That's where we post the most up-to-date information that we have. Sorry, my voice squeaked because I'm losing it. So it's a good time to end this podcast. Happy hunting in week 7. And just remember, as you're looking over everything, who was the champ in week 6, baby? Just remember. All right, we'll see
Hey,
you
the
guys next week
people's
for week
champ,
8.
baby. The people's champ,
The
Britton
people's
Flowers.
champ. See you guys.
Bye.